Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for all my continued followers, I want to say thank you. And this is an opinion-based video channel where I try to open your eyes and ears up to some of the travails and tribulations that take place throughout our cities, our states, our country, and sometimes around the world. Well, this particular story I have for you today is coming straight out of Texas. And it has everything to do with whether it's voter fraud, voter suppression, and even a new term that I was not familiar with. And one of the reasons I wanted to do this story, they have this thing called vote harvesting services, and which can lead to some illegalities in how people or groups are collecting votes or ballot votes. As we know, during President Donald Trump's reign, he got indicted in Fulton County, Georgia, under Fani Willis for voter fraud. Eventually, those charges were dropped. Voter issues have been a problem for our voting system for years. As you all can remember, back in the 2000 election or presidential run with George Bush II versus Al Gore, you had an issue with the Chads, CHAD, in the state of Florida, which swung the pendulum and allowed George Bush II to win the presidential election. And I think it's ironic that Florida was the deciding state on who would become president during that 2000 election. It just so happened that Jeb Bush, who is George Bush II's brother, was the governor of Florida. So there's been a lot of chess play going on with garnering votes. How do you get votes? Can you mail in votes? Do you have to physically go into the booth? It's very important to know your city and state laws and how your legislators and politicians are voting for things on your behalf. And of course, right now, this big in the media is this redistricting that's taking place in California, Texas, and of course, Missouri. So there's chess play going on between the Republican and Democratic Party on trying to have power over certain districts and trying to maintain a higher voter count when it's time to run for election. But some folks out of Frio County in Texas got into some trouble. And we're talking about at least 6 people indicted, even a county judge. So let's get into this story. Frio County public officials are among 6 indicted after elections investigation. So Frio County public officials among 6 people indicted after elections investigation. Attorney General Ken Paxton indicted and arrested 6 people, including 5 public officials, for what his office described as a vote harvesting scheme. Now, pay attention to this. This is a good learning lesson on this whole voter stuff. Vote harvesting scheme in Frio County, which is a part of his years-long election integrity investigation, his office announced. The Frio County judge and former county elections administrator, 2 Pearsall City Council members, and 1 school board member, and 1 other person were each charged. 5 of them were arrested on May 2nd. Rochelle Camacho, the county judge, will be processed at a later date, according to a release from Attorney General Paxton's office. So let's get into this whole vote harvesting scheme. The people of Texas deserve fair and honest elections, not backroom deals and political insiders rigging the system, Attorney General Paxton wrote in a statement. Elected officials who think they can cheat to stay in power will be held accountable. No one is above the law. Audrey Gossett Louise, the district attorney for the region, said in a statement, violating the privacy or voting rights of our elderly or disabled community members will be met with zero tolerance. So a lot of this mail-in voting has to deal with elderly folks, disabled individuals, and the issue is how do you secure those votes without there being any kind of peer pressure or these specific groups pressuring you to vote one way or another. And also, are these groups being paid to try to solicit certain votes, whether Republican or Democrat? The Texas Tribune reached out to the offices of the current public officials indicted, and they got no response. The city of Pearsall said in a statement, it is aware of the indictments, but due to the sensitivity of this matter and our efforts not to interfere with any existing or ongoing investigations, the city has no comment at this time. Camacho's office and the Pearsall School Board trustee, Adrienne Ramirez, did not immediately return requests for comment. Ballot collection or ballot harvesting, a term used by many in the Republican Party, referred to the process of designating someone else to return a voter's ballot. So this is explaining how vote harvesting works. It's allowed under federal law, but some states have restrictions. That's why it's very important to know your city and your state laws just as well, if not more, than your federal laws. It says that it's allowed under federal law, but some states have restrictions, such as not allowing the person collecting the ballots to be compensated or not allowing them to collect more than a certain number of ballots, according to the National Conference of State Legislators. Attorney General Paxton brought the charges under Texas Senate Bill 1. This is a state bill passed in 2021, which makes it a third-degree felony for a person to knowingly provide or offer vote harvesting services or the collection of ballots in exchange for compensation unless the person is employed as a caregiver for a voter who is eligible to vote by mail. That includes Texans who are 65 or older on election day or who are unable to vote in person due to illness or be away from their county throughout the entire election. Under the law, organizers of voter outreach groups and volunteers could spend up to 10 years in prison and be fined up to $10,000 for offering these services. This is vote harvesting services. And while a federal court ruling from September challenges the constitutionality of the law, halted the state's ability to investigate those cases. Attorney General Paxton appealed that decision, which gave the state leeway to continue. The case remains under appeal. KSAT, which obtained the search warrants, reported that the documents state that the officials either knowingly provided vote harvesting services for money, or in the case of the former elections administrator, tampered with evidence in an attempt to hide it. The limits on voter assistance in Senate Bill 1 are one of several pieces of the law. Some expand access, such as the provision that increases early voting hours in smaller, mostly Republican counties, but mostly the law restricts how and when voters cast ballots. It specifically targets voting initiatives used by diverse, largely Democrat Harris County, the state's most populous, by banning overnight early voting hours and drive-through voting, which were popular among voters of color in 2020, so Black people and Hispanic people. Former Texas Democratic Party Chair Gilberto Hinojosa So former Texas Democratic Party Chair Gilberto Hinojosa described past investigations conducted under the law as politically motivated and designed to intimidate voters. He said Republicans investigate alleged election fraud only in Latino and Democrat strongholds like the Rio Grande Valley. Frio County, where Republican candidates have dominated in recent elections, has a populace of about 18,000 people, and this area is just southwest of San Antonio. So there are all kinds of chess playing games, whether it's voter fraud, voter suppression, and you have this vote harvesting scenario where groups are going out soliciting votes, applying pressure, even being paid to get people to vote a certain way, whether along the lines of being a Democrat or a Republican. There is a lot going on and behind closed doors in this whole political arena in America today. We even had here in St. Louis where the Attorney General Andrew Bailey indicted the St. Louis County Executive, Dr. Sam Page, alleging that he used state money or county funds to send out mailers to shut down Proposition B. So he's even been indicted here locally in St. Louis. You have to be very careful as a politician, and there are all kinds of voting irregularities that are taking place. This President Trump brings up this voter fraud stuff all the time. It's hard to say what is real and what isn't real, but what your vote does matter, and that's where your power is, and make sure you utilize it in the right way. And please pay attention to what your state legislators are doing at your capital, in your city and state government, how your state Supreme Court is ruling on things. Bills are being pushed through the system all the time, and it's very important to have a certain awakening to know what your local politicians and legislators are doing, and make sure that you hold them accountable.